The Elder Scrolls series is taking us somewhere we've never been before in an Elder Scrolls game, to a completely new land to explore. And in this video, I'll be breaking down exactly where this is going to be located. So let's watch the trailer together first, and then we're going to break it down together. Here we go. They've already shown the map location. Looks a little bit like Anvil with the architecture. I love the music as well. That's an Imperial bow, a Nordic bow. So the alliances must be working together. Completely lost visibility though, so that storm's come out of nowhere. Oh, okay, so whoever's on the island is working against all three factions. That looks very Breton, the armor. Oh, damn. Alright, so let's break this down. Starting out, we're shooting over what is clearly a map, which I'm going to overlay an actual map of Tamriel onto now to see if we can figure out exactly where on the coast of Tamriel we are looking out onto, so we can figure out what this island landmass is. I've taken a print screen here and I put it in Photoshop. Increase the contrast so we can actually see all of these land details, and here I've got a lore-friendly, accurate map of Tamriel that you can overlay across the Elder Scrolls Online and so on, being extremely useful because it also shows like Atmora and Yakuda and all the other continents that exist beyond Tamriel in the Elder Scrolls universe. So what's happening here is the camera is panning to the west, out towards the sea, where we can see this island landmass over here. So on this map of Tamriel, what that represents is us flying over Hammerfell to the west, and we're looking out at some land masses in the sea over here. So if I zoom in, you can see High Rock is in blue, Hammerfell is in red, and then I rotate the map and I change the perspective like this. Now you can start to get an idea and compare these two land masses, and you'll see what I mean. So you can see just here is the river that runs past Sentinel, where those flags are that I'm drawing around Hammerfell. And then you can see on the left here, we come back inland and there's like a little sort of outreach of land. And then we have the bay itself that's just over here. That makes a little river in here. And it's all existing exactly to match up perfectly with this map of Hammerfell. You can even see Stros Mackay over here, which is a location that already exists in ESO. And you can even see the chain just here, which is like a small little series of islands. Then obviously, for argument's sake, you have Hammerfell just over here, which comes all the way out, outstretching into the ocean. And Daggerfall is just over here. So now the question is, what is this landmass of what seems to be like two islands, or at least some kind of cove over here? Well, now we know exactly where we're looking, so we can figure it out. Because it does seem very likely to be these two islands. However, it may not be, and I'll explain why in the trailer why it might not be. So now we're taking a look at a map that exists in the Elder Scrolls Redguard, which is an official Elder Scrolls game, and this actually shows Yakuda, the Sea of Pearls, and Hammerfell and High Rock, and what exists to the west of Tamriel. Now thankfully a fan has traced over this exact map and written the names of each island next to them, so you can more clearly see it. So you can see High Rock and Hammerfell again, and these were the two islands, Herne and Casper, that I highlighted in green. You can see just down here is Stros Mackay, and that's already a zone in the Elder Scrolls Online. For a size comparison, Casper and Herne are much bigger land masses. Now, very little is known about Herne and Casper as locations. We know that Herne is a famous island because once Yakuda, this landmass over here, sunk into the water, the Yakudans left here, who then became known as the Redguards, and settled on Herne, pretty much killing most people there, then occupying it before they came to Hammerfell. So this was one of their settling points, so there may still be Redguards on that island. However, obviously what we saw from the trailer didn't look very Redguardy. Also, not much is known about Casper. We know that there is a settlement on it, and at some point in the Second Era it's occupied by Imperials, I believe, according to a book that was written, but that's pretty much all we know. Then we obviously have the chain of islands just here, which we know very little about, and then we have the Abyssinian Sea. Now this is where it gets very interesting, and we're going to watch the rest of the trailer now, and I'm going to explain why I think it could also be one of these islands here. In the trailer it looks like they're heading towards these islands, then there's a big storm. I think they actually could end up over here. I'll explain why soon. So obviously we start off zooming towards this island that we intend to head to on a clear sunny day. We also see blue flags of the Daggerfall Covenant, one of the factions that is embarking on a journey to this island. And then we carry on zooming towards this island, and obviously we see that there is a settlement on this island, and it seems to be kind of like inside its own bay, sort of protected from the elements within there, which is very interesting. Maybe that's how these people are still surviving with these storms going on around them. And we also see what appears to be a castle and battlements. Was that where the Breton was standing at the end of the trailer? We'll find out. And if you've been to the Daggerfall Covenant city of Wayrest, you'll recognize these same ships are in their harbor, so this is definitely the Daggerfall Covenant. But then we see the yellow flags of the Aldmeri Dominion, and we see what looks to be a much more elven ship with triangular flags and a very different sort of style of vessel there that is akin to the elves. And then obviously we see the Ebonheart Pax Nordic longship, very Viking in nature, something I'm a huge fan of culturally, as you can tell with the beard. And then suddenly a storm breaks out. Where's this storm come from? We have no idea, but there's a lore reason for this storm, which is very interesting, and it has something to do with the Abyssinian Sea that they're sailing into. So the island disappears that it looked like they were sailing towards. Now I can't really tell what sword this is. I know it's definitely not Imperial. It's not Elven, obviously. It's not Orcish. It must be either Breton or Nordic. The Nords aren't really known for being on different islands, whereas, you know, the High Rock Bretons have different kingdoms and are known for inhabiting islands as well. So I think this could be a Breton sword. And then we see him swipe off those three ships, which means whoever this is, probably a Breton, is against the three alliances, meaning they are a separate faction away from Tamriel, which is really interesting. We've not seen that before. So now he's walking up to the battlements of the castle that we saw, you know, in the city as we zoomed into that island potentially. And we see a massive storm breaking out where the three ships are just tattered completely. They're being destroyed by this storm. Now initially I was thinking, is this some kind of like sea slowed magic? Are the Bretons doing this? But actually there is in the lore something called the Maelstrom of Baal, which is a phenomenon that exists in the Abyssinian Sea. However, not much is written about it. I think the only time it's mentioned is in a book called The Doors of Oblivion, and one of the doors to Oblivion exists in the Abyssinian Sea. Essentially, the book reads, some doors exist but cannot be entered safely. The whirlpool in the Abyssinian Sea, called the Maelstrom of Baal, can make ships disappear and may be a portal into Oblivion. But the trauma of riding its waters would surely slay any who tried. Now, I've actually spoken to the original author of the Elder Scrolls series, and he says that a lot of these books that are written are from people who exist in the world perspective, so they're not necessarily true. So could the Maelstrom of Baal not be a gate to Oblivion, but actually be some kind of, you know, like Bermuda Triangle that surrounds an island and protects its people from unwanted visitors? And that's what we're seeing in the trailer here. So it could even potentially be an island we've never seen in the Elder Scrolls universe that they've created. So one of my theories is that these ships are leaving Hammerfell and High Rock, and they're going towards Herne and Casper, but then this storm breaks out and they're lost in the Abyssinian Sea, but they carry on going in that direction, and eventually they actually get to one of these islands down here. In fact, Pancor very much has that island shape with an inner bay where a small town or city may exist. Now, the Sistres are a group of 3 islands that we also don't really know anything about. However, it is a possible location of the Coral Kingdoms, or the Coral Kingdoms are described as being near it. However, we don't really know if they're in the Abyssinian Sea or the Sea of Pearls, which is all the way over here. Now, the reason I bring it up is because of this storm and how the storm was caused, because it would have been the sea slodes that reside in the Coral Kingdom. Now, historically speaking, in the first era, there was actually a time where Tamriel had to attack the sea slodes that existed here on the island of Sistres, and they made their own naval force called the All Flags Navy, because it was composed of the Red Guards, Bretons, Colovians, Elves, and Argonians. It was the largest allied naval force essentially in Tamrielic history that attacked this place, but there's no history of really like what happened after it other than the Maelstrom storm phenomenon appearing at where the Coral Tower was, where the Slodes were. So there may be a story revolving around that, but I'm grasping at bits of lore and areas we don't know a lot about, and there's not really a lot of written information on. But it's actually also been stated by the Elder Scrolls Online team that in 2022 their content plans will back off major plots with end-of-the-world invasion themes for a bit more traditional Elder Scrolls story of political intrigue and factional infighting, instead concentrating on one of ESO's playable races that has not yet had a full cultural and historical deep dive. Now, so far, the only races that exist that fall under that category are the Wood Elves, the Red Guards, and the Bretons. Now, obviously, the trailer very much looks like it's going to be Breton focused. So I very much feel like it's going to be Sistres or Pancor, and something to do with Bretons will be taking place there. And just from this trailer alone, I'm actually super excited because I don't have any idea really of what to expect from this. So if you guys are excited too and you want me to check out the Elder Scrolls Online in 2022 and just do an uncut live stream of what that content's like, let me know in the comments below and we can do that. And I'll see you there in that live stream. Have a great day and goodbye.